My cameras don't shut off.
Yeah, because Sony's.
Yeah.
I think it's
It's the FX series, and they have fans inside of them. They can run for like 26 hours.
Is it
recording.
because of the fans? Because I know it's a DSLR thing, and I actually think it was a legal thing. It was like a
No,
legal
so
limitation.
my mirrorless cameras can go, but like my A7 IV,
yeah.
it doesn't have a record limit,
Yeah.
but it'll just shut off after like 2 hours
Well,
because it'll overheat.
So my understanding was DSLRs have a max recording time of 30 minutes for a legal reason.
No, because like the Canon 1DX doesn't have that.
Is it a mirrorless?
No.
I have to look this up. That's interesting.
I could be wrong.
Oh, hi. Didn't see you there.
Well, hello. Hey, welcome back to Can You Change the Music? And I am going to change the music. I don't know why I said that, but welcome back to the podcast.
That's a good intro. It's good. We're still getting our footing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
We have a long name. I think it's long.
But
it's clever.
It is, but I'm super proud of it.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Well, I mean, the idea, I think most people will probably get this, but we really wanted to speak to something that gets at the heart of some of the frustrations and pain and kind of cliches at this point with running your own like creative business, especially as like videographers and stuff. And so we wanted this to be a safe space for community commiseration. And and I feel like it just encompasses that so beautifully.
Right. Well, and that's kind of the thing is like, if you have run a video agency or a freelance thing, or you've done client work as a freelancer or whatever, like the most dreaded email, because if you're watching this and you don't know,
on the off chance, yes,
everything in an edit most of the time is done to music.
Yeah, like music is step one.
like I don't even start clipping down B-roll until I've picked the music.
Yeah,
right. Like,
because it kind of
sets the vibe.
Yeah,
it plays on whatever emotion you're going for.
The crescendo of the music kind of informs how you're gonna like present the story.
Right. Well, and I mean, like what I learned early on from like Daniel Schiffer, Peter McKinnon stuff is like, if you hit transitions on the beat, it feels natural and your eye gets tricked into going with it. Right. If you're doing things to the beat of the music, it just feels comfortable. Especially like, again, the first thing I ever did to make money with filmmaking was a wedding. Every beat is cut to it.
Well, and I also heard a tip recently that I've only implemented a little bit, but instead of having cuts on the music, having key moments in the shots be timed to music. So if there's somebody picking up a thing or setting down a thing, like having those be on the beat. But even so, like you are planning things around the structure of that song.
Like one wedding I did, the bride wanted the song Green Eyes by Coldplay.
Okay.
And the first time that the word green eyes comes into the song in the chorus.
Yeah.
I'm doing a push-in zoom with her doing like that little peekaboo thing over the groom's shoulder, and she has these bright, big green eyes. And so it's like, I timed that out.
Yep.
And the mother of the bride called me specifically when she got to that point the first time she watched it in the video, and she just wept.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a hit. But like the music informed how I was going to cut together that specific shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you, or how often have you received the feedback, can you change the music?
I would say, so I've had a video production company now for 2 years.
Yeah.
I would say probably 24 times.
Well,
so like once a month.
Is there a solution? You know what I mean? Because like,
yes, I've learned. It's been less lately, because one of the things that I have done in the discovery process with a client, especially, is what vibe are we going for? What fits your brand?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've started giving a couple of like, either you give me a couple of like examples of what you want or what you like. And if I can't use it because of royalties stuff, especially like if it's under a minute on social media, you can get away with it sometimes, depending on what you're doing.
Okay.
But there's ways to find matching stuff. So I'm like, oh, I can't use this song for whatever reason, but I can find something similar that fits the vibe.
Yeah.
So that's been helpful. It's still not
Yeah.
perfect. It hasn't completely eroded the problem. And then like in weddings, which I do weddings. I'm going to do weddings. I just asked the bride and groom, what song do you want? Like, because this July, I filmed a wedding. It was a great, great wedding film, I thought. But the bride was like, oh, we're not really romantic people. Can you change this music? And I just was like, I made the mistake. In this instance, it was a mistake.
Yeah.
I was like, well, what song do you want? And it was like, not only was it like not a wedding song.
Yeah.
But it was a completely different like tempo. So I had to retool the entire edit. Like,
well, and it's like, you're tempted out of spite to just do a cold swap and be like, here you go.
But your name's on it.
But your name's on it. And me as like, not a perfectionist, but like quality is super important to me. Like it's so hard for me to not do my absolute best on something that it hurts
but
me
it was like,
more.
It was like, it went from like a swing, almost like, like 6/8, like really slow, melodic.
Yeah.
To like Led Zeppelin. I'm not kidding. It was that.
Like, well, it wouldn't even work.
Yeah, I think it was some like, I can't remember the song.
Yeah.
But I did it. It was annoying. And they put that video out there and I thought, I can't believe I sent that to them.
Yeah.
And they were ecstatic. Like they gave me a 5-star review on Google.
And you're like, great.
Okay.
Listen.
That's what the client wants. Like,
okay. As a prerequisite to the story I'm about to tell, no hate. I get it. No hate. But so in between having my recording studio and starting my business, I worked full time at a church doing video production stuff. And I was on the central communications team as the only videographer. We had like designers and motion graphics people. And
did you ever work with Genesis?
I did.
Oh, that was when you were like part-time, right?
Yeah, it's like not fully
so we used to work at the same church.
Yeah, so I worked with Genesis part-time, and then I left to do the studio full-time, and then I went back, and then I was
that was
full-time.
the timeline. Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of, but for the most of the time I was there, I was the only video guy. And so I would make bumper videos for the sermon series, and that was always really, really tricky because you're enhancing a concept that the pastor or whoever is like the teaching people like put together. And so there is some creativity and ideation that goes into it. And now your job is like creating something that enhances it, but also of their own admission, like these people aren't like digital content creative people. And so there is this balance of like, I would be tempted to walk them through the process early on, but like if they can't see it, like envision it, they don't really have the feedback of like whether or not to go. And so my preference on the opposite side was to get it as close to finished as possible to present so that they could fully see like the vision, quote unquote, air quotes, like the vision. But pretty consistently, like the feedback the sole feedback, and generally they were really cool. Again, no hate because I get it. But it was generally like, can you change the music?
Yeah.
And it was like, that was the whole thing was planned around, because you're making something that's like a 30 seconds, 40 seconds. And so like it pops because everything is timed out intentionally. And
how often did you get away with saying no?
To be fair, I think I got that feedback maybe 5 or 6 times.
That's a lot of times.
Over several years.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I was also doing like recap videos or all that. So I was putting out probably like a video a week, maybe on average. So like on the whole, generally, whether it was my direct boss or like the leadership team, they like rolled with it. Yeah. So then that's where I'm like, no hate, because like I get it, and they were generally good. But if I don't think I ever had to say no. I think there was a couple of times where I was like, I really don't think. And it was more like, let me make a case to you why I think this is important. But I do think, full transparency, the thing that we learned was there's a certain genre of music that almost certainly is going to win. It's going to be like, that's awesome. And so we just, more often than not, we're like, let's just start here, because if we put a nice like stomp track together that feels like it's like getting people excited, it's gonna hit, as opposed to like lo-fi, which is gonna feel a little bit too somber and is almost certainly gonna be like, I don't know, I just feel like it doesn't have the right thing. And so, you know, it was more like you learn, okay, these things I have a greater chance of like it passing all of the approval points.
Well, and part of the reason why I got so many requests to change the music earlier on in starting is because I would put music that I liked that necessarily wasn't reflective of the brand. And so I learned, like, if I'm adding value, like, there's a very much, like when you talk about pride and stuff like that in the last episode briefly, you can't have pride in this industry, because at the end of the day, you can put something out that you like or you want, like in the instance of that bride that I had that wanted, you know, the Led Zeppelin type music in her wedding video. I'm like, what the heck is that? That's what she wanted, and she was so happy with it.
Right.
And me, I could have been like, oh, well, you're ruining my edit. It's her freaking wedding. you know? And so I learned, you know, and I say that I've learned this, but there are times where I give the flexibility. I'm like, okay, what's the brand? What's your vibe? What are we going for? Okay, I give them the song. They approve the song. And then they still ask to change the music. So that's where it's like, there's nothing fully you can do to try to mitigate it. But I think, like, you know, ultimately speaking, you have to have the humility and the understanding of like what you're trying to accomplish for that client's needs more than itching your own creative desires.
And that is probably one of the first and hardest lessons that a creative has to square with, because you need both. You are in a creative space, you're hired to do this thing because there's a belief that you can offer something that's better and more unique than if you weren't there, than like someone else, or than without you. And so there is an expectation that like you bring the vulnerable nature of your own internal ideas into this reality to help this external this, you know, idea or mission or story. But then once you do all of that, you have to be able to like hold it loosely and be like, it may not be at all what they like or need. And so it's a really hard tension.
Well, and I think that's an important conversation in the context of creative business, like specifically. So if you're just a creative and you want to make videos and you don't care if it's seen, you don't care if it's heard, you're making it to express yourself fully, and that's that.
Yeah.
Like, by all means, do whatever you want. Yeah. But when it comes to when you start attaching dollar signs to something, somebody's paying you for a project.
Yeah.
Or even if you're doing it yourself, like you wanted to take and monetize your own creativity. Yeah. Even in that, that's a business structure to some capacity. And so you're not just thinking of what you like, you're thinking of what an audience would connect with.
Yeah.
And so there's limitations on that creativity based on what's popular, what would resonate with folks, not just your own creativity. And so it's a really complicated thing in terms of creative business.
Yeah. Well, and before you learn that lesson, there is a tendency to get defensive, because you can assume that by this person having all of these changes in feedback, they're assuming that you haven't thought about all of these things. I felt that so much where it's like, because I put 110% effort and intentionality into the things I'm creating. And so there was a reason for me to choose this shot into this shot into this shot. And there was a story angle I was going for. And there's a reason I chose this song. And there was a reason that I built it this way. And I had it as long as I did, or, whatever. And so when someone comes in and they're like, it just feels a little bit long. Everything inside of me is like, there's a reason, everything is there. And I cut so much out, and I cut it down to as small as I feel like it could be with still honoring the story, and it needs to be edited. But at the end of the day, I had to realize, like, if that person didn't get what I was going for, I can have the best of intentions and it wasn't even a bad call. But like, if they didn't experience what I put into it, then it needs to change. Then it means that, like, the idea was great, but it wasn't clear enough. Yeah.
And that's the thing. As a side note inside of all of this, clarity is everything. Like, clarity is as important as creativity. And that's why for me, I really, really struggle with like philosophical, ethereal thoughts inside of creativity, even though like creativity is all ethereal. Like,
yeah.
I like the practical in me. I enjoy like coming up with creative things and being creative and writing music and poetry and producing, media.
Yeah.
But I feel like part of my biggest strength has been being business minded, and like sacrificing some creativity in the grand scheme of like business. And like it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
Especially when you like, have you ever had it where like you're talking, I know you have, because you just explained it, but where you're like so proud of something and it has meant so much to you to have created what you've created. And then people will be like, oh, that was nice. Like, not even for a client. Just you show somebody like, oh my gosh, look what I made. And they're like, oh, that's nice.
For me, that was every time I wrote my own music. Because I was putting everything, until I started making stupid rap songs. But before that, I was like writing like this coffee house acoustic guitar stuff. And it was like, writing music was kind of a vulnerable thing. I was trying to reflect on something that meant a lot to me. And then it would get like 20 streams, which I could tell was like 30% of it
were you.
Yeah, 30% of it was me. And then the rest of them were like my friends that did like the pity listen once, but it clearly didn't catch them enough to want to go back to it. And it was that all the time. It was like, what am I, like, this matters so much, and I think it's awesome. I would listen to it all the time, but like, what's it missing?
When I think that's why a lot of talented, creative people don't make good business owners sometimes.
Yeah, I will say, to your credit, you are, in my experience, you are better than most creatives at running a business. You're better than me at it, I would say.
I would. That's
probably
up for debate.
I can clear. You are more business savvy than I am. You have, and I meant to say this in our previous conversation, but like, you have a really strong resolve, I'm going to get it done kind of energy. And I do too, but it's a little different. Where you will walk into businesses and say, hey, this is what I do. Do you need this? Kind of without breaking a sweat, because you're just like, it's the grind. It's what we got to do.
Right.
In a way that I haven't seen a lot of creative people.
But like, the trade-off in that is I don't do cold calls and emails. Like a lot of service industries, businesses will be like, you have to do, 9 LinkedIn messages, 100 cold calls, 100 cold emails in a week. Like, and so my grind is different. And that's what, part of my true north, my why, is building relationships and having deep, meaningful connections.
Yeah.
And I don't think you get that in cold calls and emails. You're creating business transactions. And though this is a business, I want more than business transactions, which can be convoluted. But I think so. Yeah, I have a trade-off in that. Like, I've determined, unless I absolutely have to, and I'm sure there's a day where I might, like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows here, but to the best of my ability, part of the way that I want to get clients is through building relationships and adding value. And so I don't feel like I can do that effectively through cold calls.
Yeah.
So my grind looks different.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's part of it. But yeah, to your point, like I feel like there's so many people who I know who are more creative and more talented than I am, just at production and video and videography, and they're like, why have you been able to be, this successful? And to be clear, I'm not as successful as some, but I'm making it. Like, and so I'm not, I have no, like, what's the comparison?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like in this comparison trap of like, oh, I'm this good only, or like I've kind of grown past that. But I think that the thing is, when I look at creative people and I look at what they're capable of, the way they can tell stories, the way that they can hone in, and I'm like, why aren't you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
I think that most of it, like the feedback that I get from people when I'm like, why haven't you started a company? It's because they can't fathom living in a world where they put somebody else's needs above their own creativity, or they're afraid that they're going to get offended by that, or they don't even know how to process that information of like, well, this is what I wanted to create, and I know better than them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, there can be no pride in owning a business where creativity is kind of the crux of how that business operates, because it's it's so not about you. And that's so weird, because like inside of my why, being able to create stuff that was important matters, and that feels like it's about me.
Yeah.
But that has to be layered on top of like, it's about the value that I can add to somebody else, whatever the client is.
Yeah.
And so there's this like whole idea of changing the music. It is frustrating, it's funny to talk about, but at the end of the day, it's like, if somebody's asking me to change the music, I didn't clearly communicate some expectations and some front end. Like, so it has to go back to me at the end of the day.
Yeah. Just to give a really practical tip about the music change situation. In the case of certain videos, the videos that are like really interview forward, like a branded doc or a bio video or something like that, a really simple solution that I learned from Ryan, that he learned from somewhere else, I think it's pretty standard, but is to have the first edit that you send to the client be a radio edit, which just means there's no video. It's just the audio of how the video should be, which means that all you've put together is the interview clips in the order that you think they should be and the music that you chose. And so that's an early space for them to kind of get the vision, but they're not being distracted by the unfinished video cuts.
Sure.
And honestly, like when I recently started implementing that, because I was like, that's genius, because it solves that problem and helps the client see the vision without putting in too much work on the front end in case they want it different.
I'll have to put that one in my back pocket.
Yeah.
I've never thought of that ever.
Yeah, I hadn't either. And I've done it a couple
Ryan's
times.
Ryan's kind of an editing genius, though.
Yeah, he
we'll have to have Ryan on the podcast sometime.
Yeah. He's I feel like I learn a lot of things by proxy through him. But
I messaged him because like we were talking about, and I was like, oh man, I should. So I was just like, hey, how you doing? I sent him the picture. I'm like, doing a podcast. So.
Yeah.
Because he's not that far from here, is he?
No, he's like
20 minutes, 30 minutes,
maybe 30. Yeah, he's pretty close.
Libertyville. He's in Libertyville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
not to dox him, but he is in Libertyville.
What's that mean?
Dox. It's like disclose their location.
Libertyville's huge. If somebody listening to this podcast wants to go stalk Ryan,
it'd still take a minute. We just said his name is Ryan. There's probably 1,800 Ryans in Libertyville.
I mean, also there's editing. You could bleep out.
Yeah.
He's from bleep.
Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna get into more of the deeper conversations around loneliness and how challenging it can be doing this for a living. We'll talk soon.
So we've talked in the kind of like the first half of this about like the change of the music and the name and the funniness, silliness, and the serious.
Some commiseration.
But I do want to dive into this like commiseration idea in this topic. Like it can be so isolating and lonely to not just own a business, but to do like when you're an entrepreneur who like most of your company is dependent on what you can do and provide for it, especially in the beginning stages, in the first year, 2, 3, maybe. Like, what has been the challenge for you of being in a dark hole editing day in, day out?
Yeah. Well, to get super real for context as well, I'm just starting my second year, maybe 3 months into like second year doing this business. Like I've I had my recording studio and I've did contracting on the side. So I've been like running businesses, quote unquote, for the last 4 or 5 years. But this is just like the start of the second year of this business. And so in a lot of ways, I am still very much in the early startup stages. And the last year was crazy. Like we had some huge wins in the first part of the year, such that I was bringing in like every month it was more and more and more, and it was like well into 5 figures each month I was bringing in, and I was like, this is so much work, it's more than I can do. And so I hired people and I was trying to build this whole thing, and I had this whole vision, and then it was way too much for me to handle. And then the business got a lot slower as it ebbs and flows, and I had to lay everyone off. And so it's been a rocky road. And
those were your friends. Like we're not, you didn't just hire random people.
They weren't just like random.
They were friends.
Yeah.
So that's tough.
Yeah. And so on the back end of that, suddenly I was once again by myself, putting in lots of hours that mostly consisted of sitting at a laptop in a dark room, or at least inside, not, outside breathing fresh air, and also reckoning with, my failure to some extent, quote unquote. We can get into whether or not it's a failure and a lesson and all that stuff, but like the reality is,
it felt like a failure in the moment, regardless of what it actually is. That's tough.
But then underneath all of that is the reality that like I need to get moving or bills don't get paid.
Right.
Like I've got rent in 2 weeks, and I've got, and my wife has some health conditions and doesn't have a job. And so I'm the only income. And it's like, and because I don't have another job, I'm paying for my own health insurance. And so it's like it feels like the deck is stacked against you. And now you're putting in hard hours by yourself, reckoning with the fact that you just let your friends down. Like that was really hard. Still is. I don't know if I have a great, this is the solution. Like, I think even as of recording this, it's January 2026. Even like maybe 3-4 weeks ago, I think I realized I hit this point where I was kind of just spinning. Like I'm working all free hours I can, and then I'm sleeping in because I don't have the motivation and the vision to make this thing happen, because it's just like the stress of I gotta just hit zero. And then realizing like I'm an extroverted person and I'm not around friends and I'm not seeing people. I'm like, whether it's in the studio that I now have or it was just working at home, it's like I'm working by myself, or I'll go to a coffee shop, but even if it's a couple dollars, I'm spending money I don't need to spend. And the Wi-Fi is not great anyway. And so like, it just felt like I was in this circle. And I could tell that my own echo chamber wasn't helping.
Right.
And so I don't know if your question was, what do you do with that? I mean, full transparency, I think most of my answers are going to be a little hypocritical because there's things I've thought about recently, and some I've implemented, but a lot of it, I think I'm still trying to reckon with it.
I think that's what's important to hear, though, is like, because we talk about owning your own business and the freedom and the lifestyle that it provides. but the shadow side of it is like, can be really challenging.
It's
And
a relentless grind.
and it is the kind of challenge you will never face in a 9 to 5. Even if you work your butt off, right? Like even if you overextend yourself in a 9 to 5, at the end of the day, when you own a business like this, where it's, especially in the beginning, like the goal is to scale and to have people, and the burden is not all on your shoulders. But like the state that we are in right now, this early in our careers, is that 90% of everything that happens is directly on my shoulders.
And you are still overextending yourself, but you no longer have the guarantee of a paycheck.
Right. And like the difference of overextending yourself in a 9 to 5 is there are other people to shoulder the responsibility, right? Like at the end of the day, if you're a 9 to 5 and you fail, like you could get fired and there's uncertainty, and but that company is still going. If this one fails, it's all me. Like it's all my fault. It's all like it's me. And that has been scary at times.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the question of like, how do you overcome that? What does that mean? And like, what have you done to not resolve that? Because there's really no resolution. You just do, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, I've said this before. I'm going to say it multiple times. Like the difference between people who can make it as an entrepreneur and the people who can't is that the people who can make it, like they actually just do it.
Yeah.
Right. And that sounds cocky and mean, but it's simple and it's true. Like some people, and it's okay. Like it doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make them a less than person. It doesn't even make them a less gritty person. It's like the tolerability of that kind of stress, like what you described.
Yeah.
Like there has to be a level of tolerance for that. Like that is a crappy deal that you alone shouldered.
Yeah.
And like the friends that you laid off, like they felt the sting of losing a job, but they can go get another job. You felt the sting of having to let your friends go and then still doing all of the work that you had that they could have done for you. Now you have to do alone.
Yeah.
Right. Like it is like one thing after another. But you did it and you've overcome and you're here now still doing it. And not everybody has that. And like, that's the thing that is really important in this idea of like grit and fortitude and tolerance for the loneliness. Like it can be, and part of the reason we're doing this together is because it's lonely and I want to have a friend. Like I was saying, like, it's so nice to, like you're saying this, at about the time that you went through what you were going through, I had my own issues. Like I thought I was going to have to close down and get a freaking factory job that I'd never wanted to get in the first place. And then, I'm like sitting there, I'm like, okay, like this happened. I lost all of my clients, like except for one. And I had 9. I had 9 clients and I lost pretty much all of them. Like, what do I do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I had that moment like, oh my gosh, did I just like screw over my family?
Yeah, because you have kids.
I have 3 kids.
I have a wife and a dog. Not to minimize those, but like you also have several
3
kids.
human beings who I have to feed, clothe, get education for. Like, and I sat there and I was like, okay, if I were to get a job, my lifestyle changes completely. The flexibility and freedom that I have is over. Does this suck? Yeah, it sucks a lot. Like, and I didn't have to lay off anybody, but I had to go back to the lab, so to speak. Like, what am I going to do? And so I kind of had like 3 or 4 days of really bad depression. I would say like I stayed in bed. I like doom scrolled
Yep.
for like 3 days.
Yep.
And then I was like, okay, this isn't helping. My mental health is declining rapidly.
Yeah.
I am in a huge hole, a huge financial hole. But what am I going to do? And so I just did what I did in the beginning when I had no clients. I went and found some. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and, you know, on the back of that for me, you know, I, the most, so that was in August of 2025. And like low. And I mean, it was more than just business stuff. Like I almost lost my house because of an idiot thing that I did. I don't need to get into. My mortgage didn't get paid for 2 months, and I thought it was getting paid, and just not paying attention. Like
Yeah.
so busy over here that the things over here started slipping through the cracks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which is one of the downsides of doing it yourself. Like you literally own every aspect of everything.
Yeah.
Finances, bills. Like it's I'm a sole income earner. My wife stays at home and homeschools our kids, so it was just part of the lifestyle that I wanted to have, like the flexibility and freedom of that. So I'm not getting any income anywhere.
Yeah.
Which I think you're in the same boat.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was like, that it slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
And I royally felt like I screwed that up. And here we go. Basically, no clients. Everything that I had saved up. I also, like unrelated to the business, all of my credit cards got hacked. You know, I'm like,
Of course.
like,
Yeah.
like, and this all happened literally in one day.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was rough, dude.
That's how, dude, like, it feels like when you're at your lowest, that's when you get punched in the stomach again.
Right.
Like,
you can't get in, so you're getting kicked now.
yeah, like I remember, like, I don't remember what the circumstance was, but there was a day where I was either like losing a client or whatever the thing was. Something bad happened, and it was like this whole thing feels like ominous and bleak. And then you get a bill in the mail for like a thing you forgot about. That's like, this is going to be $600. It's like, great, cool. This is just
My checking account says negative 14.
Right.
What am I going to do?
Yeah,
And so,
yeah,
yeah, it's, and like, that's the thing is like, you know, I'm not going to just we're not going to wallow in this for very long, because the point is, during that time, we were talking to each other.
yeah.
And like, unfortunately, your situation made me feel better about my situation. I was like, okay, I'm bad, but like,
well, honestly, as long as like you commiserate, as long as you don't stay there, like it's important.
right.
Like, and that's one of the reasons that like we want to do this podcast, and I hope that we continue to have a little bit of bummer conversations, because it's a crucial step one to know, like, I'm not alone in feeling like this thing is hard. Like, it doesn't have to mean that I am bad at this,
Right.
or in the wrong place, or doing the wrong thing. Like, it's hard, but it's meant to be step one of a longer process.
And in the conversation, right, both of us have, if we're not totally out of the woods yet, like in your situation with like like you're not totally, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and you kept doing it. You'd found other clients, you're doing more work, you have vision and direction, and you have your true north, and that's guiding you out of the woods, right? And for me, you know, my story was, okay, like I went to the grind, I did the networking thing, I built some relationships, found where I could provide a ton of value to some folks, and October, November were the most profitable months I had in the entire year of 2025. Like,
yeah.
and it sucked. It was a ton of work. I didn't do a lot of stuff socially in those months, but I was busy.
Yeah.
And I was climbing out of a hole that I had put myself in because of being an idiot. Like, there's no other way to say it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and then December was like so weird. I didn't have like any work in December, hardly at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I when I ran my recording studio. So this is first time I ever ran a business. I was talking with my dad. I don't know how far in. It was maybe 4 or 6 months into running this business. My dad has been self-employed my whole life. He has an appliance repair business, but he's also just like found ways to have side hustles that just become profitable. So I've just always watched him.
So you have a framework for this, by the way, then? Like,
Yeah, I at least I've been in I have the framework. I have the context of being close to somebody who is doing it.
for sure.
Or like my life is affected by the success or failure of it, right? Because he's the provider when I was a kid. So, but he always was running his own businesses. And so I remember a couple months into running my recording studio, it was really hard. I was really going through it. And I was just talking to my dad. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was like, it's really hard. There's just lots of things to think about. And then it feels like I go home and he's like, and it doesn't stop. And it was like in that moment that I felt like I understood something that he never could have explained to me otherwise.
Until you experienced it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you feel less alone in that moment?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this because the reality is running your own business, you can't clock out. Like you can create like boundaries to try to be more present at home and more focused at work. But the reality is like the thing that you're creating lives and dies on its, the amount of work that you put in exclusively, which means like it's not limited to like, oh, it's the weekend or no, it's after 5 o'clock. Like it's like this is it's just moving. And if I stop working, it does stop.
I want to dive into that really quickly.
Yeah.
Just a little bit deeper, because I think that's important, because we've talked about the flexibility and freedom that like we want this life to be.
Yeah.
And then now we're saying, oh, like you don't clock out.
That's okay.
So
Before you ask your question, I'm going to yes and that, because I had this moment while I had my employees this past year, and I was super stressed because when you take on employees, you drastically increase the amount of money you have to make. And, now you have to like guide and direct and like build processes and all this stuff.
and manage.
And I was at the end of myself, and I had this realization where I was like, I can work my life away. I can exist in hell if I know that I'm moving out of it, if I'm building something that's going to take me out. But how do I know that I'm doing that? Like if what I'm doing right now is just the new reality, like I thought back on my own dad or other people, like the trope of the dad that just is always working. And I was like, I don't want to be that. I started this thing. I left my job so that I could build something so that one day I could have flexibility and freedom. And if I'm working 80 hours a week right now, that's fine if I know in 6 months, in a year, in 2 years, that changes because of what I built. But how do I know that it will?
You know what's so interesting? I'm the opposite of you.
Really?
I literally decided, I think it was 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I had decided, now there were seasons, right, where what I'm about to say can't be true.
Yeah.
Because of what I described, right? Like I went through this time, I had to bust beans. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
To catch up.
Yeah.
But about 6 months ago, I was like, part of the reason why I wanted to do this was to have flexibility. And if I just stop working for right now, this work will still be here tomorrow. I'm going to go have lunch with my friends. Because I had a buddy who was like, hey man, I know you're busy, but can we have lunch together? And I would be like, no, I'm behind. You're always going to feel behind. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, at least for me, like that's like, I don't feel good about a project until it's done. The clients are happy with it and it's producing what it's supposed to produce, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, I am going to go have lunch with my friends because that's what I said I wanted my life to be. And if I am just grinding and grinding and grinding and I don't stop and go have lunch with my friends, what am I doing? Like, why? I don't need to wait 6 months. I'm like, today is a day that I have work that I could be doing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to come and film this podcast. And so I'm going to do that work tomorrow because it's still going to be there.
Yeah.
I wanted to do this today. And like, that was part of when I got that, like, yes, everything is on me, but it's going to be on me tomorrow too. Like,
Yeah.
I felt the freedom. Are we running out of time?
No, we're good.
I felt the freedom to actually allow for the margin in my life that I wanted to create because that was part of my true north, part of my why. I did this so that I could have time.
Yeah.
And so dang it, for better or worse, I'm going to make myself have that time that I wanted. And then tomorrow, I'm going to bust my hump, bust beans,
Buzz beans.
And I'm gonna do that work. And for me, that's been so liberating.
Yeah.
And it's not like, there are seasons where that can't be true. There are seasons, yes, where you have to go through the hell of like grind, do. But then for the most part, if you're not, and this is a really hard concept because of the whole conversation of entrepreneurship and like the social media people out there, like, you know, like, have you seen that guy who's like, I'm so far ahead of people because I have 3 days in one day. And he's like, you wake up at 8, boom, I've already had a day. Like, you know what I'm talking?
I think I know that, yeah.
And to me, I'm just like, great, like, good for you. You're winning. You feel accomplished. Like, I feel so much better if I've played, like last night. I actually worked last night until 10.
Yeah.
But I stopped working at one point and I played a board game with my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, like, I had work to do. I had a deadline that I had to hit that day. And I was stopping. My daughter wanted to play a game with her dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm on a deadline. Can I the deadline was today. It wasn't like sometime last night. It was today. I was like,
yeah.
Can I still accomplish this deliverable by today and do this with my daughter? Yeah. I'm gonna make that decision. I'm gonna be a good dad in this moment more than a good agency owner.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's the freedom that you do get to have. Now, it's hard, and it's hard when you're up against it to make those decisions, and it's stressful, and it can be stressful. But it's important to me in the way that I've operated my business. And again, I this is a 6-8 months ago or whatever. Up until then, I was just like, go, and that's how you're going to get burnt out.
I think so it's interesting. I think what I'm feeling is, quote unquote, right, whatever that means. Like, it's real, it exists. But I think what you're talking about is there has to come a point, and it probably should be sooner rather than later, where you realize that someone in my position feeling the way I'm feeling ultimately it's a little bit of a mirage, because there will always be more things that need to be done. And you'll always, like, if you decide that you're running on a treadmill so that you can get a certain distance, you're going to find yourself in the exact same spot, running just as fast. And there comes a point where you need to make the resolve that you're the one that's responsible for creating that separation between, like, the work that you're doing and the life that you said that you wanted.
Right. 100%.
And sure, there's a reality that you got to, like, bust your butt and put in the work and make it happen. But also you have to learn.
But that the temporary of that, I don't know why I said it that way. That has to be days and weeks, not months and years.
If you think that the good life that you wanted is only in the future, it will only ever be in the future.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it any better myself. That is exactly true. And I you know, when we're talking in this conversation of commiserating, I've realized I commiserate less when I'm with people. Like, because the loneliness of what we're doing is real.
Yeah.
And so I have to unplug from it because I'm passionate about it, because I love it. I don't want to burn out from it.
Yeah.
I actually want to do this for my career. Like I want to do this 30 years from now.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to do this 30 years from now, I can't go. Like it's hard to get out of that mind frame because we did so much work to get ourselves out of the 9 to 5 shift.
Yeah.
Now we need to like work and curb and not overcorrect and just go 80 hours a day, you know?
Yeah.
And so there has to be that give and take. And it is. There are times where you have to grind and you have to put in 16-hour days for certain things. And that sucks.
Yeah.
But you do it because you have to. But then, like for me, one of the things that I've done is I have intentionally around a holiday, so it's like we had Christmas this last, we're January 2nd right now that was recording this. So the couple days around Christmas, I knew that I didn't want to be out filming stuff because I wanted to be like, we have family coming over, we have family things. I'm responsible for our business.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for our income, but I knew that I wanted to spend that time with my family. And so when a client would say, hey, I have this date on the calendar, are you okay with that? They don't need to know why I'm not okay with that. And so I would just say, actually, I am booked on this day.
Yeah.
Let's look at this day. And I intentionally built my calendar with clients around what I needed to protect for my family.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them that was why. They don't need to know that.
Right.
But that day is booked, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
And so I'm protecting that day. And so I created that margin around holidays that I wanted to spend time with my kids. And so I still had to do the work. And so I front loaded a couple of days in December where I was gone a lot and my kids didn't see me that week, but it was because I was protecting what was valuable in those moments.
Yeah.
And so, like the ebbs and flows and the gives and takes, but that still provides the flexibility that I wanted.
Yeah.
Right. So it was a lot of work. It all depends on me, but I decided how I was going to divvy that up.
Yeah. We're basically at time. I was going to do like what's a good next step? How do you deal with loneliness and like what do we put in place? But I think that is kind of deserving of like a full conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like, let's talk about that next week and really get into like, how have we found community and boundaries and discipline and all of that stuff. And yeah, let's pick it up next week.
100%. See you.